Julian Phillips and Adama Sanogo continue to stand out for the Windy City Bulls. We're going to talk about them, plus the return of Dalen Terry and more on today's episode of the Windy City Bulls Review. We're going to get to all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, even including the Windy City Bulls, which we're here to do. This is now our third week, recapping the week for the Windy City Bulls. We got two games, if I can count correctly, 2 games to recap today. And the first one, it was the Bulls versus the Cleveland Charge. Now, this was a game that the Bulls did win 94-75. The standouts in this game included Julian Phillips with a 19-point performance, going 8 of 13 from the field, 3 of 6 from three-point range, 12 rebounds, 1 assist. Julian Phillips continues to show that he is head and shoulders above this level of competition. And even though we got to see him with 4 minutes in a recent game for the actual Chicago Bulls, I really do hope we see more and more of him on the main roster. And hopefully, Billy Donovan is going to start trusting him a little bit more. Adama Sanogo again with another dominant performance, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals in this game. He goes 7 of 12 from the field. Adama Sanogo just continues to find ways to impact the game. Again, him also showing that his strength at this level of G League competition, he's so far above that. Max Hedengeiger as well in this game, 16 points. He goes 6 of 12 from the field, 4 of 6 from three-point range, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 1 steal from him. And then Henry Drell, one of the other players that people are really looking forward to on this Windy City Bulls team, 13 points, 5 of 14, 2 of 7 from three-point range, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals from Henry Drell in this game. Now, unfortunately, this is not a game where Onuralp Bitim, unfortunately, really made a big impact in. We'll talk a little bit more about him in the second game this week for the Chicago Bulls, but he did play 29 minutes at Onuralp Bitim. He goes 2 of 11 from the field in this one. He has 3 personal fouls, 2 steals in this one, 4 turnovers, unfortunately. He only scores 4 points, so not a dominant or big performance by any stretch of the imagination for Bitim. Derek Favors also was out this whole week. He didn't play in any game this week, so look out for that. But then you have in the second game this week for the Chicago Bulls, in which they faced the Sioux Falls Skyforce. We won this game 141-125, scoring out the wazoo. Julian Phillips again. This also was the game where Dalen Terry returned, so we'll talk about him. He had a big game upon his return. Julian Phillips, though, in this game, 29 points, 9 of 17 from the field, 5 of 9 from three-point range, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists from Julian Phillips in this game. Like I said, Julian Phillips just continues to show that he is above this level of competition, and I love the way that he's performing in this. He also had a block shot. Not overlooked that at all, and you really can see Julian Phillips, and we'll talk about it as we recap the week, talk about everybody's performances. You can really see that Julian Phillips, how he can get into games at the NBA level. Not saying he's going to have this level of performance at all, but he is playing really good. Adama Sanogo, again, in this game, stood out as well. He had 26 points, 14 rebounds, and 1 block from Adama Sanogo in this one. He goes 10 of 16 from the field. Another really good performance from Adama Sanogo. And then we get to see Onuralp Bitim again have another big performance for the Chicago Bulls as well. He scores 16 points, of 5 of 13 shooting, 3 of 7 from three-point range, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers in this game. That's really the biggest thing with Onuralp Bitim, is really seeing the number of turnovers he has. But listen, he's working on it. He's definitely working on it. Henry Drell has another solid performance in this game, 13 points. He goes 4 of 10 from the field. We get Dalen Terry upon his return to the G League in this game. Listen, 15 points in 31 minutes, which isn't huge, but 7 of 16 from the field, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 4 turnovers from Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry again showing that kind of Swiss Army knife type impact that he can make on games at this level, just doing a lot of things out there. Again, this was a game where there was a lot of scoring done, so look at that. Quentin Jackson also had 16. Henry Drell had 13 points. Chris Clemens as well had 14 points in this game. But those standouts really come down to the players that we are looking the most to stand out on the season. Bitim, Adama Sanogo, Julian Phillips, all standing out really well for the Chicago Bulls. And then Dalen Terry having a really nice return upon his return to G League play as well. So you like to see that. So to kind of recap the week so far, one of the players that you didn't hear me name so far is Julian Phillips. And Julian Phillips Justin Lewis He played 17 points in the second game that we mentioned on this week. He played 24 in the first game, but he scores 6 points and 4 points respectively, not having a really big impact on the offense or defensive end. But again, I try to give him a little bit of leeway because he's coming back from ACL. We've seen a lot of players, take a year plus to come back from ACL, and especially, at this level of competition, it kind of is what it is there. But when you look at the G League season so far, the standouts absolutely are the players that we want to see stand out. Adama Sanogo, so far on this G League season, 18 points per game he's averaging and 10.5 rebounds per game. He's also averaging over a steal and over a block per game and keeping the turnovers really low, only slightly under 2 turnovers per game, which as a big man playing in the modern NBA, for somebody who doesn't necessarily have the foot speed and that's getting as many shots as he's getting, listen, he's averaging 11 shots per game and scoring 18 points per game off that. Now, when you kind of look at the tier and kind of the performances, Adama Sanogo, I don't think is quite NBA ready. I do think that if he was, let's say for some reason, knock on wood, especially with the Chicago Bulls, that they had some injuries to either Vooch or Drummond, and they needed to rely on Adama Sanogo to at least come in and rebound and probably get some block shots for a 3 to 5 game stretch. I do think he can do that solidly, but the way that he gets his shot off, especially if it's not on putbacks, you worry about that shooting speed as well with that a little bit. But again, I think he can score because he's going to rebound a lot as well. Adama Sanogo is somebody that I've slowly come around to start saying, no, I think this guy's maybe NBA ready by next season. Probably going to allow him to stay in the G League this whole entire season. But listen, I really see it for Adama Sanogo. I just really like the way that he's playing. On top of that, Julian Phillips, listen, 3 games played for Julian Phillips so far. He's averaging 20 points per game in 3 games played and 12 rebounds, 2 assists, only 1 turnover per game. Keep in mind, with rookie big men, you're looking at that turnover number, 1 steal per game. He's averaging a little bit under that, and 1 block per game. So Julian Phillips is showing that, hey, he may have it, especially on the defensive end. Shooting wise, it's going to take some time, the nerves to get down. We saw that even in the 4 minutes he played recently at the NBA level. But Julian Phillips is showing a whole hell of a lot. He also has an overall plus minus of +4 in the game, so he is impacting winning for the Chicago Bulls absolutely, and it's hard to take away from that. Ernalot Batim, we got 6 games played for Batim. He's averaging 26 minutes over those 6 games so far. He's averaging 10 points per game. He's also averaging 33% shooting from the field, which is not good at all. And from 3-point range, he's averaging 35. So we're not seeing him necessarily hit the shot really efficiently. I do think that's going to come to him. You see the size and things are getting to him a little bit, but I think that's going to come. He's probably going to spend this whole entire season. I know we had some conversation and thought that maybe, depending on how things may go, he may find himself getting called up sooner rather than later. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. But again, shooting numbers, and the 3-point shooting is actually a little bit worse than I said. It's 26%. I think I said 35%. So he has to work on the efficiency there. I think understanding how and where to get his shot off. If he's coming off pins and picks and things like that, he can get the shot off quickly. You're not worried about that. But him trying to create off the dribble for himself at this level, he's not able to do that the same way he was in European basketball. He's also averaging 3.5 rebounds per game, right under 3 assists per game as well. The turnovers, he's gotten that down. He's gotten down almost a turnover and a half. He came in initially with this G League season averaging 4.5 turnovers per game. It's down now to 2.8. He did have another 4 turnover game. It would have been even lower if it wasn't for that. So those are kind of the things you want to look at when it comes to Batim and his personal performance. Max Hedengeiger as well is another player that he's older, so I'm not really expecting him to maybe make an NBA roster, but he's playing pretty solidly, averaging 13 points per game for us as well. Down there, the biggest concern, like I said, Justin Lewis has played 5 games. He's only missed 1 game or 2 games so far for the Windy City Bulls. We're 5-2 on the season so far, but he's only averaging 23 minutes per game. In that, he's not averaging very many points at all. He's averaging 4 points per game. He has a negative plus minus of -2, so he's not really making a big impact on the defensive side of the ball either. But, again, coming back from ACL, I'm not judging him too much with that one. And then you also have Henry Drell in this game as well for the Windy City Bulls, averaging 27.8 minutes per game, 13.8 points per game. He's shooting the ball 43% from the field and 31% from 3-point range. Again, he's kind of known as a 3-point shooter. This Windy City Bulls team as a whole isn't shooting the 3 ball overly well, but he has a positive plus minus of 18.4 when he's on the court. He's been hugely important for the Windy City Bulls in this G League season. And then, like I said, Dalen Terry, he only played his second G League game. He's only averaging 5.5 points per game on the season. But again, that first game, he didn't even play the full game. He looked really good upon his return in this game so far. So those are kind of the things. Like, not much has changed as far as my view on the players, and I mean that in a positive way. Still really looking at Julian Phillips as being, hey, he's showing as somebody who was drafted. You want them to go down to the G League and look like they're better than everybody down there, and he's looking like that so far. So he gets credit for that. Adama Sanogo is also looking really good in his minutes. He's really playing extremely well, and that speed of the game that we kind of worried about with him being drafted doesn't seem like it's hurting him too much. And then Ernalot Batim is really coming along nicely as well. Got some rough patches, right? Defensively, he's been okay as well. He's had some difficulty staying in front of guys at times, but hasn't been anything like too egregious or anything like that. So, those are the players that we're really looking at the most, and they are all performing extremely well, and I really like what we're seeing from those guys. So, this is the Windy City Bulls review. We're doing this once a week, recapping whatever games happened that week. We had 2 games this week. I think we only have 1 game next week, so be on the lookout for that. I think that's all we have. Let me double check that before we go. So next week we have, where's the schedule at? This is not good podcasting, but listen, it is what it is. I should have brought this up beforehand, but hey, it is what it is when it comes down to it. So we got next week, we only have, moving so slow, we have 1 game next week. We play against the Indiana Mad Ants next week on Tuesday. So we got that game, and then we do play next Saturday as well. So I guess it is 2 games. Play against Grand Rapids both Saturday and Sunday, so we'll have more games to talk about. But as it stands right now, really impressed with the players that we're looking at, looking for stuff from the most on the G League season. But hey, let me know what you guys think on everything down below. Make sure you're following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like we like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.